So for me, February is the new January. And I'd just like to kick off by sharing with you some resources that we've been developing at TAY, because what we've recognised over the last few months is that even though our sessions are extremely interactive and engaging, as people are spending more and more time in front of the computer, on Teams, on Zoom, and particularly as people are getting less and less inclined to want to be there because of the current situation, we're finding that more people are finding themselves struggling to stay alert and engaged and attentive. And although all different learning styles are being met and things are being kind of chopped and changed, and we'll continue to do that because it's really important. And in fact, the next live session I'll be doing later this month will be about specifically showing you how we've adapted some of our face-to-face activities to ensure that they meet the delegates' needs live online. Although all of that is still happening, one of the things that we also wanted to do was help delegates to realise that they can take a little bit of responsibility for this themselves, and to really help them understand and introduce the kind of the mechanisms of accelerated learning and what accelerated learning does and how you can engage with it in your own home. Now, when we did face-to-face training, we very much took responsibility as facilitators for accelerated learning. And actually, when we introduced all of our sessions, we talked very briefly about the 5 senses, and that each of us has a dominant sense that once we're stimulating it, helps us to stay alert and helps us to retain that information. And we introduced that at the beginning of each of our sessions, and we use that to explain why on the desks you would find things like sweets, colouring, you'd find kinesthetic sand, you'd find tangle toys, you'd find a whole host of different things. And then as we were moving through the sessions and using activities to meet different learning styles, equally what we were doing is encouraging people to also find out what their dominant sense is, or to stimulate their dominant sense using the things that we'd provided. Now, of course, face-to-face training hasn't been happening for a while now, and rightly so. Everybody, including ourselves, have been focusing on making sure that we get the tech right, making sure that we're confident and comfortable, and then making sure that we can engage effectively and really meet those different learning styles. But we're finding that we're having to absolutely step it up now. So over the next few weeks and few months, I'll be sharing with you a whole host of different things that we're doing in TAY training sessions to meet the Training for Influence methodology and to really step it up to meet the needs of the delegates in the room. And to start with, one of those is, as I've just said, about being about understanding accelerated learning and taking a little bit of responsibility for that. So there's a few things you can do here for yourself if you want to learn a little bit about it, and also if you want to share with delegates that you're training as well. You can go across to our website, and I'll just share my screen here so I can show you specifically where on our website you will find all of this information. So just bear with me whilst I'm moving across and sharing my screen. Hopefully what you will be able to see, just bear with me one moment. The always happens is the wrong screen comes up. Of course it does. So I'll just stop that there. Perfect. So on this one, so hopefully what you'll be able to see on here as I'm sharing my screen is our website and the resources that we have specifically on the website as well. So on the website here, the Training for Influence website, what you'll find under resources is blog. And on the blog site, there was one which I just launched last week, which was zoomed out to zoomed in. And this blog specifically talks you through some of the things that I've just said about the changes with people being engaged at home and them needing some more engagement. But also within this, it goes into the rationale, a little bit of the rationale behind accelerated learning, so you can share it with your delegates. And you'll see here quite significantly the difference between the things that we had and we used in face-to-face sessions, and the things now that we're encouraging people to keep on their desk and to help them to engage in accelerated learning. And it's interesting because the benefits to accelerated learning really are massive, and it does motivate your delegates. It helps them to retain that information, to stay alert and awake, and also to keep motivated to continue learning after the course. So what I've done down here is I've shared some top tips for how people can take some responsibility for accelerated learning themselves whilst they're at home. And actually at TAY, what we're doing is we're sending out some information on accelerated learning and the top tips to delegates in advance of the session, because actually quite a lot of our delegates are getting really quite frustrated, and they want to be able to really kind of stay alert and retain that information, and they want all of the help they can get. So we're sharing some of these tips with them, and I'll show you where you can get that resource in a moment. But some of our key tips is about keeping an activity box on your desk. So if you have them with your Tangle toy, your fidget cubes and similar, you'll see I'm fiddling away with one of our accelerated learning bracelets that are our methodology. You'll also see we've put some colouring sheets, and we've got some free downloads with some motivational quotes that you can just click on. So it's one of my favourites. If you've done your best within the constraints of your role, that is all you can do. And some different ones that you can have and use there and share with delegates and things, so people can colour. Pen and paper for doodling, that's a little bit of an obvious one. You'll find me kind of rolling my shoulders, moving my head, tapping my foot. We're encouraging people to do things like knitting or crocheting or a jigsaw puzzle, where it doesn't necessarily take any thought, but you're engaged and you're using your senses. Eating and drinking with your mic off, please. I love this one if you're a parent, and actually I got to writing these top tips and actually asked my kids because they use all of these top tips for when they're engaging in their school lessons, which we think it's hard for delegates to engage for a 3, 4, 5 hour session. At the moment, my 12 and 14-year-old are expected to be on Zoom calls all day, every day. And so with that, it was perfect for me. They know all about accelerated learning. They get quite frustrated that they're not allowed to use different techniques at school, but certainly they have been while sitting behind their desk at home. And so I went and asked them and said, I've got to number 7, what else can I put? And they said, search a child's toy box. Things like Play-Doh and Lego are perfect. Scrabble tiles are really good. Also about engaging orally, answering and asking the questions where appropriate. Find a ball or an apple, anything round, and just kind of roll it around on your desk. And if you can, literally stand up and sit down kind of every few minutes and stretch and move around. I know it's not perfect, but these are things that you can absolutely take responsibility for yourself, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're attending training, but you can also give that responsibility to your delegates. A lot of your delegates will very specifically want to be gathering and retaining as much information as possible. And we used to say in our lives, in our face-to-face sessions, if you learn nothing else today, you'll learn what your dominant sense is, because you'll be stimulating it to help you stay alert and retain that information. And really importantly, some resources that you can share here. So of course you can share this blog. It helps people, whether they're in meetings or online school and such, like really simple things. So you can share this. But also if you go to the resources page on our website as well, you can share specifically some resources so that you can see there what's really useful for other people to access. So on our resources page on our website, these are all free resources. I've talked about some of these on previous lives, and I'll go through some over the next few weeks and months. But down here you'll find a delegate's guide, a specific delegate's guide that's been written for them, that you can share, that just kind of shares those specific top tips. So I'll just show you these, and it's just the elements cut out of the blog to make it a bit clearer. And this is what we share on our TAY courses with our joining instructions. We share just a little bit here. So did you know that stimulating multiple senses helps to keep you alert and awake? And then down here are the top tips of the things that you can do. So it just makes it really nice and simple for them. So please do feel free to go across to the resources section, download that for free, adapt it and share it with your delegates as well. I'd love to know if introducing accelerated learning into your own daily meetings or any training or anything that you're attending, or introducing it to your children. I'd love to know if using these techniques makes any type of difference for you, if you've noticed a difference. And I'd really love to know if you have any other top tips. Have you got anything that we can add to these to help people take some responsibility and accelerate their own learning within their own homes as well? So that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to share with you as we go into 2021, that over the next coming weeks and coming months, there'll be a whole host of different things that we share with you as we're updating them at TAY and as we're trialing things and as we're launching them for people to be able to use and practice with on the Train the Trainer programme. So if there is anything that you're just not sure of, or you'd like a little bit of guidance on, or if you've got any tips that you can share with us, that'd be absolutely wonderful. Thanks a lot.